Good morning, team. Happy freaking Monday. Y'all, I got my Monday mug out. If you can't read it, it says do epic shit. So, happy Monday. All right, y'all. I'm pumped about this because we're talking about muscle. All right. So, and not necessarily how to build it, but more of like what does it do for you, right? So like what does muscle do for the body other than look good, right? um Being honest, but there's so much more that muscle does for your body than just again like looking toned, right? And before we go into that, I want to answer a couple of questions, right? So excuse me. Question, which is more important for building muscle? Increasing weight or increasing reps or both? The answer is both. All right. So, which is more important for building muscle? I mean, all in all, this is really talking about progressive overload. All right. How you build muscle, you progressively overload the muscle. And this can be done by increasing sets, increasing reps, increasing weight, um, doing tempo, increasing range of motion. All right. So there are a lot of different factors when it comes to progressive overload. Um, my favorite way is increasing weight, but it depends, right? It really depends on the person. And so that's why I'm hesitant to give like a definitive answer, right? Because there are so many variables when it comes to building muscle. Um yeah, so it depends on where you're starting in your fitness journey, in your weightlifting journey, right? If you will. If you've been lifting for a long time, okay, then maybe we just scale it back and then we look at what you've been doing, what isn't working, where you stuck, and yeah, just kind of go from there. If you're brand new, then uh there's actually this saying called newbie gains, right? So like newbie, like you're a noob. All right, so newbie gains, it's a real thing, right? If you've have never lifted before, or if you've taken a significant amount of time off, like years off of lifting weights, and then coming back to lifting weights, you will see gains really fast. All right, so which is a newbie advantage. All right. And so like I'm jealous. I wish I could get those newbie gains, right? I would gladly take like a month or two off, like if it worked like that. It doesn't work like that. But if it did, man, I would be chilling for a month and not lift a thing and then come back so I could get those newbie gains. I wish. But no, that's not how it works. And I do not recommend anybody, like if you are on a roll, if you're starting a weightlifting program, don't stop. Right? Don't stop. Um but yeah, so coming back to the question, which one's better? It depends, and there's not one that's necessarily better. Um yeah, and it depends on your goal. Specifically for building muscle, there's so many different ways that you could do it, but there is a consensus across the board: progressive overload. That's how you build muscle. You got to tax the muscle. You have to uh have this constant pressure or constant tension on it, if you will. Yeah. So it depends. Nothing, there is no wrong answer and there's no right answer. All right. So actually the wrong answer is to stop doing what you're doing. All right. Um, yeah. So there you go. I hope that answers your question. Okay. So muscle. Why do we need it? All right. So other than just looking good, right? Because ultimately, whenever somebody tells me, specifically women, whenever they tell me, I just want to look toned. I want to look lean, like I don't want muscle. I just want to look lean. Well, you have to have muscle in order to look lean. You do. All right. So everybody's goal should be to build muscle. And I've changed my mind on this a couple of years ago actually. And I heard it first from Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She claims that our society is not over fat. We are under muscled. And at first, like, I disagreed. I was like, no, our society is fat and we need to take care of that. But her point is the fat will take care of itself if we focus on building muscle. And whenever she broke that down and I sat on it and did a little bit more research of my own, I came to an agreement with her, right? And Dr. Stacy Sims, she is, I mean, but both of these women are phenomenal, right? They are some of my uh people that I look up to in the health and fitness world, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and Dr. Stacy Sims. So Dr. Stacy Sims, she is known as the female doctor. All right, like the female athlete, right? And her kind of claim to fame is women are not small men, so we shouldn't train like it. And again, like first, like at when I first read her book, she has Roar, all right, so Roar, and she recently came out with an updated version, but her the thing that I disagreed was that women shouldn't be lifting heavy weights, and I highly disagree. Recently she has changed her mind about that with more research that has come out. She's like, oh, actually, you know what, lifting heavier weights, that is super beneficial for women, specifically in their menopause or premenopausal era. All right. Um, but yeah, if you aren't following those two women on Instagram, I highly recommend. If you don't have an Instagram, then sign up for their emails, their email lists, because again, they're awesome and they provide no BS approaches to health and fitness, which, you know, that I really like because I like to call myself the bullshit filter of a coach. All right. So okay, coming back to it. Why do we need muscle? Well, there's more to muscle than just sport. All right. Muscle equals life, quite literally. All right. So, muscle, like muscle mass, is is associated with the risk of death. All right. And I know that sounds like really like doom and gloom, but honestly, like there have been several studies that adults with low muscle mass are more likely to die early than those with more muscle mass. All right. And so how does this relate to, and well, we're going to dive into a little bit more of a menopause aspect when it comes to this, because the majority of women in here are either premenopausal or menopausal. All right. And so I want to highlight that. So that makes menopause, right, a key time to improve your odds of both vitality and longevity. All right. You will always hear me say muscle is the organ of longevity because it is. All right. There is so much more when it comes to longevity than just, you know, heart health. All right. And which is where, and I don't mean to say that as like, oh, like longevity is more than heart health. Like it's the reason why I say that is because modern Western medicine, they usually say go for a walk, do cardio, lose weight, right? So all those things to help you increase your longevity of life. What they don't, what they fail to claim or fail to realize is that muscle is really the key to living a long and healthy life. All right. So how is that? All right. Well, speaking of hearts, all right. So muscle mass is good for your heart. All right. So there's a 2021 study that was published by the Journal of the American Heart Association found that women with high muscle mass levels are less likely to die from heart disease. And in fact, medical professionals often emphasize losing weight over building muscle. But in reality, it needs to be flip-flopped. All right. Women, we need to emphasize building muscle over losing weight. For those who want to lower their cardiovascular risk, right? So skeletal muscle protects your heart in a number of ways, all right, including improving your blood sugar management and metabolic health. So as well as giving you the strength and energy to be more active and maintain those high cardiovascular fitness levels. All right, this is important because heart disease is by far the leading cause of death for women. All right, so lifting weights is heart healthy. It's not just cardio that is heart healthy. All right, and so I don't know where that disconnect happens from, like medical research to I guess health and fitness. I don't know where that drops the ball, but y'all, lifting weights is heart healthy. All right. So lift your weights. Stronger bones. All right. So muscle mass and muscle loss and bone loss go hand in hand. All right. And so the reason being is there's a thing called Wolff's Law. All right. And I actually forgot the like the actual definition of Wolff's Law, but essentially is like what is under pressure will be built. Excuse me. Let me actually, you know what? I'm gonna look that up. All right, so let's see. Wolff's Law, developed by a German anatomist and surgeon. Da, 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 da. If loading on a particular bone increases, the bone will remodel itself over time and be stronger to resist that sort of loading. All right. So essentially, whatever that bone is being placed under tension, that area will remodel itself and kind of beef itself up. All right. So that bone will become stronger in those areas. And so what do muscles attach to? Well, they attach to bone via tendons. All right. And so if you are building stronger muscles, then inherently you are building stronger bones because of Wolff's Law. All right. So because whenever that muscle is being tensioned and it's pulling on your bones, right? Moving your body, moving your bones through a range of motion and being put under force under that tension, well, your bones have to adapt to that muscle strength. And so your bones are going to inherently become denser. All right. And with women, right, and osteoporosis being so prevalent, building muscle will help preserve your bone health. All right. And so this is extremely important, right? Especially as we go through that menopause transition, right? When both tend to decrease more rapidly, both muscle and bone loss. All right. So strength training to make and maintain your muscle can also help preserve your bone health. So 80% of the 10 million Americans with osteoporosis are women. 80%. And 1 in 2 women over 50 will break a bone because of a dangerously low bone mineral density. So 80% of that 10 million, and then 50% of that 80% will break a bone because of low bone density. Y'all, lifting weights can help slow down osteoporosis, if not prevent. All right, so lift your muscles. Now, lowering urinary incontinence. That's kind of a surprising thing, right? You're like, wait, what does lifting muscle or like lifting weights have to do with urinary incontinence? Excuse me? Okay, so here's the thing. So low muscle mass and strength are associated with higher rates of urinary incontinence. So low muscle mass, higher rates of you peeing your pants. All right. So, particularly of those with menopausal age. All right. So, one 2021 study found that like nocturia, or waking up more frequently during the night so you could go to the bathroom, urinary urgency, incontinence, and an overactive bladder were more common in women with decreased grip strength and or decreased grip strength than in women with a normal grip strength. So another paper reported that women with the highest amount of thigh muscle had a 54% lower incidence of urinary incontinence than those with the lowest amount of thigh muscle. So these connections make sense when you consider it, because if you're losing muscle and your strength in your, arms and legs, you're more likely, you're likely losing it in your pelvic floor muscles that support your lower urinary tract. All right. So again, right. So low muscle, more peeing your pants. High muscle, less peeing your pants. All right. So just to break that like little section down. And then kind of a side note on the pelvic floor muscles. How do we work those? Y'all, you are more than Kegels. Okay. You are more than Kegels. The pelvic floor is such an intricate web of muscles. And, last week last Tuesday I talked about bracing your core, right? Had mentioned that your core also involves your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. Y'all, there are so many muscles when it comes to your pelvic floor. And gentlemen, if you are watching this, you have a pelvic floor. Pelvic floor isn't just for women. All right, you got a pelvic floor too. So how do we build that area? Well, there are several other lifts that you can do other than Kegels that will help with building your pelvic floor. Squats. Squats is actually a phenomenal pelvic floor exercise, right? Because of the actual bearing down, tightening up the core, bracing your core, and then having to push away that contracts and that involves your pelvic floor muscles. Also doing split stance squats. So, one foot in front of the other. There's so, again, like those are just two of several different pelvic floor or exercises that influence the pelvic floor muscles. All right. But all in all, lift your weights. Okay. All right. Better metabolic health and body composition. All right. So that's not necessarily a surprise. All right. But research shows that older women with low muscle mass have a higher risk of impaired fasting glucose, aka you have a high blood sugar. Okay. So low muscle mass, high blood sugar, and a higher type 2 diabetes, regardless of BMI. All right. And so, regardless of BMI, regardless of weight circumference or fat mass, your muscle depends on that. All right. Is dependent on, do you have it, or are you at a higher risk, or are you at a lower risk? If you have low muscle, you are at higher risk of high blood sugar and type 2 diabetes. If you have a high muscle mass, you have a low risk of high blood sugar and type 2 diabetes. All right. Again, regardless of BMI, waist circumference, or fat mass, muscle is that key. Muscle is that dependent. All right. So muscle mass helps clear the blood sugar. All right. And reduce the amount of insulin needed to maintain a healthy blood sugar level. This is going into the contraction, the actual process of lifting weights, right? So whenever you lift weights, I want you to think as your muscle, like it has a battery, all right? Like on your iPhone, like the battery signal up at the top. Yeah. Picture that on your muscle, all right? And as you exercise, as you're lifting weights, you are depleting that muscle energy, aka glucose, all right? So, glycogen. That's glycogen, sorry. Anyways, muscle energy. All right. So as you're lifting weights, you deplete that energy, that battery, all right, that muscle energy. And so, in order to refuel that, if you have high blood sugar, if you have a high A1C, you already have excess blood or excess sugar moving through your blood. So then your muscle actually takes some of that sugar in your blood and then it refuels itself. All right. So that's how muscle can help regulate blood sugar levels through lifting weights. Now, okay. So since muscle mass helps clear blood sugar and reduce the amount of insulin needed, right? So this in return, right, it helps maintain insulin sensitivity, which is important during menopause transition and beyond when we can become more insulin resistant. All right, insulin resistant has been linked to weight gain excess during menopause. It can also help with body composition, like we mentioned at the very beginning of this talk. All right, so insulin resistance again is another topic that we can discuss. But insulin resistance is essentially your body's inability to process insulin correctly. All right, so then it's like your body has too much, right? Too much insulin that your body just like it recognizes it, but then it's like, okay, and then it stores it, right? And so that can make it really hard to lose weight. Um, when I coach women who are often do uh present the signs of insulin resistance, I mean, the first thing that I do is, okay, are you lifting weights? What does your diet look like? It really does come down to those two things and your willingness to change that. All right. So I mean, that's it, right? I can tell you what to do all day long, but if you're not going to do it, if you're not willing to do it, then it's not going to help. Okay? You have to be willing to change. Um anyways, there you go. All right. So we can talk about insulin resistance on another topic. But those are just some of the big highlights that I wanted to talk about in regards to muscle, right? So a longer, healthier life, man, like it's why wouldn't you lift weights, right? I recommend like aiming to strength train at least 3 times a week. All right, and remember your protein. All right, please remember your protein, especially around training. But even on like your no training days, say you are lifting 3 times a week, okay, that like, yes, that is awesome, but that also doesn't mean that your protein starts slack. All right, you have to give your body fuel, you have to give your body energy to help maintain and make more of that muscle. All right, yeah, so it's again crazy how important muscle is and how it's not talked about enough, in my opinion. All right. So this will not be the last time you hear me say lift weights, lift heavy shit, and eat your protein. All right. I even made a t-shirt about it. All right. It says lift heavy shit. It's awesome. Super soft. But anyways, y'all, I really do hope this helps just shed light onto why lifting weights is important. All right. So quick overview, because I talked a lot and a lot of words came out of my mouth. Okay. Number 1, better metabolic health and body composition, lower risk of urinary incontinence, stronger bones, and healthier heart. Those 4 things. And side note, actually, this is kind of like a little fun tidbit, but it's been shown that women with higher muscle mass has less hot flashes. I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know how true that is. I mean, there's a study on it. But it also says that every woman is different. So there you go. I just thought that was cool. I was like, huh, okay. So the chances of me having fewer night sweats and fewer hot flashes, the more muscle I have, that helps with that. Okay. Well, that's a reason in itself. Like watching my aunts and my mom go through menopause. Oh my gosh, I'm like, please don't give me hot flashes. I'm already a hot-blooded person as it is. I don't need any more. So there you go. Lift your weights. If y'all have any questions about this, about anything that I had talked about in here, please, please, please let me know. You can send me a message. You can comment down below. Completely up to you. I don't care how you get a hold of me. Just get a hold of me if you have questions. All right. And then if you don't know where to start with lifting weights, hey, contact me. I can help you. All right. So, y'all, I really am here to help. I'm here to give you a no BS approach when it comes to health and fitness, because I want each and every one of you to live, thrive in your life. All right. I've seen way too many family members, way too many friends, parents of friends just waste away because because they weren't strong, because they didn't have enough muscle mass. All right. And one of my fears is getting older, but not in the sense of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be old. I don't care. I'm an 80-year-old at heart. But it's the fear of being dependent. That's where that fear comes in. And being completely honest, like watching family members become frail because they weren't strong, right? And so this is a way to just help other women, other people, humans just become strong, live your adventure, right? So that's why my slogan is the slogan, or Spear Strength slogan is, work hard, uh, be strong, live your adventure. All right. The slogan is live your adventure. And whatever adventure that may be, right? Whether if like, hey, your adventure is being a mom, awesome. That is one hell of an adventure. If your adventure is like just experiencing life, experiencing the outdoors, whether if you're a hunter, a hiker, a backpacker, yeah, mom, grandmother, whatever you like to do, traveler. All right. So live your adventure and then be able to live it well, to thrive. All right. Not just survive. And muscle is the key to do that. So, okay. I'm on my soapbox now. I'm going to drink more coffee and then get to work. But I hope, again, all of you took something away from this. If y'all have any questions, please send me a message. Other than that, have a fantastic Monday. Go win.